Ladies and gentlemen, when they can't actually attribute a quote to President Trump, they fabricate it. They just make it up. When they don't have a quote, a statement from Trump, when they don't have the actual words that come out of his mouth, they just invent these words. And it's as simple as that. Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you very much for being amazing moderators. To my super chat, thank you. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding, like some people who want to get money out of politics. But the super chat is what allows me to continue these live streams in the evening. And when things heat up, we'll be doing more live streams. I'll be doing a lot more content on H.A. Goodman's other channel. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below as well. But to my super chat, thank you. Also, if you want to be part of a newsletter, it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com. So email me at contactgoodman78@gmail.com. Bagnano Papai, thank you. Luke St. Martin, hello. Christlight, hello. Yonsan Long, hello. Cosmic Grandpa, hello. Rand, hello. Captain Longboarder, hello. Hello, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, if somebody said, well, we're writing a story about you, and this is what they do all the time. We're writing a story about you, okay? And do you want to deny these quotes from an individual that's unnamed, unverified? They do this to Trump all the time. He denied the gossip and hearsay. They still ran they said, oh, well, we got they didn't wait to publish the Atlantic article until after they got his response to whether or not he stated, horrible quotes that denigrated fallen soldiers, which obviously he didn't say because that's not Trump. Trump doesn't. You can say he can. It would be perhaps likely that he would say something about a celebrity, not a celebrity passing away, but just his thoughts about a celebrity. If there was gossip that said, well, Trump said something about, pick a celebrity he's in a feud with, perhaps you could possibly say that, but he's not the type of individual, because the man loves the country. That's obvious. You can say, well, I don't like his policies, and he loves the country. He loves the military. He's bringing home Americans from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. He's removing them from 20 years of failed foreign policy. Signed a deal to get us out of America's longest-running military conflict in late February, early March. And he's removing soldiers from a neighboring country. Ended also, when he first became president, a covert operation that President Obama implemented to fund rebels, which made the world even less safe. And then removed soldiers, American soldiers, from that region. And I can go into the countries and what he did, but the algorithm, the first 30 minutes or 20 minutes is sketchy. So you can't really say what you want to say. But do you really think that President Trump, who loves the flag or the United States, loves the United States, his entire persona is he loves the flag, he respects the men and women who fight for this country. Do you think that he's going to just say something like that? Well, Democrats do, because they think he's capable of anything. But if you wanted to just go based on gossip and based on what you think his personality, what you think he would say based on his personality, is he the type of person to go to a cemetery and say, oh yeah, these people are losers? You think that's the type of person he is? Which side is setting police buildings ablaze? Which side? Is it Make America Great Again, people? No. Which side is linked to $1.4 billion in property damage? Which side has a very difficult time condemning $1.4 billion in property damage and 10,000 arrests nationwide. And then everything is a peaceful protest, even as buildings are dismantled right behind the newscaster. But you have an Atlantic article that has it's completely unverified. Old school dad, man. HA, right off the bat, I have to bring up. Oh, my goodness. Old school dad, man. We're going to get to that in just 1 second. Old school dad, man. I gotta read this. It's. Can't get too into it, but my God. Old school dad, man, thank you. Ay, ay, ay. So, really quickly, old school dad, man, thank you. They are crickets. The crickets will never leave, unfortunately. Or they will leave, I guess, in a month or so. But you look at this Atlantic article, and now you have The Hill, The Washington Post. Trump said U.S. soldiers injured. And then this is The Washington Post. Trump said, how do you know this? Based on an Atlantic article that cites unverified anonymous sources. But this is why the news is completely and utterly, when it comes to President Trump, fake. It's constantly gossip and hearsay. It's constant gossip and hearsay. You have no evidence that he said any of this. Trump, Americans who lost their lives, losers. Why would he say this? Does that seem like something he would say? Multiple sources tell The Atlantic. That's not journalism. That's gossip, hearsay, and it's nonsense. What they don't have, they fabricate. They don't have any statement from Trump. They have no evidence at all. And you can best believe the fact check, it will be absolutely non-existent. That fact check, there will be no fact checking. No fact checking at all when it comes to this. The president has repeatedly disparaged the intelligence of service members and asked that wounded veterans be kept out of military parade. Multiple sources tell The Atlantic. Multiple sources tell The Atlantic? What the does that even mean? What does multiple sources tell The Atlantic mean? How come you never have anything like, top secret intelligence was transferred in this manner onto servers utilized by Madam Secretary? Multiple sources tell The Atlantic. Because Comey said there was top secret intelligence on servers. How did this intelligence get there? And then they say, well, Melania Trump uses private email. Well, is there top secret intel? Are there thousands of classified emails? Oh, no, forgot that part, huh? What does multiple sources tell The Atlantic? And why should anyone care what multiple sources tell The Atlantic about anything? And this is a day after the wonderful Hillary Clinton, and God bless her. And I don't care if they're going to vote. Who cares? Oh, the mail-in ballots are already out. They're voting in a couple of days or in 11. So what? So what'll happen is Madam Secretary, because of some meeting or whatever, it doesn't have to be calamity. Who cares? The fact that anyone would would assume that they run by rules is hilarious and absurd. They didn't spend 4 years of American history blaming Russia for the emails that they actually wrote. The truth about them was published, and they blamed Russia for 4 years. They had to fabricate quotes from President Trump, and they're rolling with it as if it happened. And in the minds of Democrats, the twisted, warped minds of very scorned, morally superior liberals, he said this. Do you want to know why? Because here we have, on condition of anonymity. So, 3 sources with direct knowledge of the event. These sources, if you had 3 sources with direct knowledge of an event that remember a quote, do you know how impossible? Have you ever played the telephone game? Where, I mean, this is like, kids would play, like, I remember in class in like the 80s in elementary school, the teacher to highlight how destructive gossip and hearsay is, you would whisper into someone's ear throughout the class a statement or a sentence or 2 sentences. By the time it got through by the time everyone repeated the statement, whispered the statement to another person, the original quote or the original words were completely altered, because that's what happens with gossip and hearsay. Hey, did you see so-and-so did this? So-and-so did that? No, so-and-so did this. Oh, my God, so-and-so did what? William Holloway, Mazel Tov, H.A., thank you. I think you're right about Crooked stepping in soon. We all hopefully will see. Enjoy the roller coaster. William, thank you. I don't think that, William, something's going on. And I know that people are saying I'm nuts. I just think that the world is nuts to believe that Democrats would actually go with somebody that they have no chance. Biden has no chance to defeat Trump. 0 chance. So at the end of the day, William, you and I and everyone here will be partying on this channel and H.A. Goodman's other channel. I might also start a Twitch channel. Who knows? I might, you know what? I mean, the sky's the limit. We have 8 years of President Trump, thank God. The journalism in today's world is pure gossip and contempt, and that's it. And the funny thing is, this is a respected journalist within The Atlantic, a day after they publish Hillary Clinton's article, and I'll give you a quote within that article that makes no sense at all. We'll get to that in a second. William, thank you. And they say, well, you know, Trump denigrated fallen soldiers. Does that even sound like him? Which side would do that? You have Democrats who can't even stand an American flag on a shirt or a hat. Which side would do that? But here, Awake Canadian, we love H.A. Goodman. His crickets are true. Canadians for Trump. Awake Canadian, ladies and gentlemen. We would always converse on Twitter when I had Twitter. And if you see anyone trying to pretend to be me, they're breaking the law. But Awake Canadian, thank you. I hope all is well. Thank you. Bucolic Buffalo. Awake Canadian, thank you. Reinhold took the room temperature test. Bucolic Buffalo, thank you as always. I hope all is well, Bucolic Buffalo, and thank you very much for always supporting this channel and my work, and every evening. It's just and for years. Thank you very much, Bucolic Buffalo. Thank you. It means a lot to me. Yeah, that is. This is not a good situation for the country, because you have a whole lot of people acting in a vigilante type manner. The only problem is media props up one side, the same side that would make those statements. It is if you want to talk about gossip and hearsay, it is more likely that a left-leaning individual would make that type of statement. You want to know what they were saying about John McCain? Let's go back in time. Bucolic Buffalo, thank you. Francis! Multiple sources. Hillary. Francis Perot. Oh, man. Prehistoric. Francis! That's awesome. Hillary Clampton. Josh Bergeron. Kamada Paris. Francis, thank you. Morpheus! After reading the Atlantic article, it left me wondering what retired General Mattis personally has against President Trump. Yeah, exactly. Morpheus. It's interesting. Sam, hello. Trip, hello. Morpheus. It's really interesting. You want to look at really quickly. We can go and you can look at. This is an article. You can look at what they. This is an LA Times article. McCain's mishaps in the cockpit. This is 2008. Fact checker. McCain fudges his Navy record. Washington Post. Those are the articles in 2008 that were nice. Let's just look at. This is a 2000 John McCain's BS Express. This is an article, John McCain, go Cheney yourself. We can go on. I mean, there were articles that talked about how basically disparaged his military record from the left. And I mean, this is just like a 2-second search, but here. You can look at a whole bunch of articles about John McCain. Oh, here, John McCain is a coward. That's left-leaning publication. Can you imagine if Trump said this? This was all throughout. Wasn't just this one publication. I'm not going to give you the publication, but it's very respected on the left. Very respected. Wendy Boggs! Did you see the poll showing Biden Clinton against Trump? I was really surprised. This is the door being open for her to run again. I think so, Wendy. I don't know how. And Wendy and everybody here, I don't know how they cannot be going. Old school dad man, William, Awake Canadian, Bucolic Buffalo, Francis, Morpheus, Wendy. This is a day before today's article. Madam Secretary, the only chance they have, she does better. This here, the Detroit News, Joe Biden is polling worse than Hillary Clinton. Bill Clinton, Trump will be stacking sandbags to stay in the White House. Is there any evidence for these claims? Where's the evidence? Bill Clinton states without evidence, makes claim without evidence. Where's the evidence? I want to know the evidence. I want to know why he's saying. I want to know why he's saying these things. Where's the basis in reality? Where's the how do you justify the claims that he's going to be stacking sandbags? Oh, it's hyperbole? Okay. And then The Atlantic, how far women have come, by Hillary Rodham Clinton, power shortage. Women's rights are human rights. Thanks, Madam Secretary. I'm sure you did a fantastic job for all the women in a whole bunch of countries. As you voted alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld, then you presided over a failed NATO intervention that turned Libya into a failed state. Notice how nobody's vacationing in all the countries that Democrats have intervened within. This makes no sense to me, ladies and gentlemen, and I am the biggest Hillary Clinton supporter on the planet. Anthony Andrea, thank you. What did you think of Cuomo's statements today? Did 44 do more to stoke division in our country than 45? Let me look at, okay. It's like Trump had better have an army to protect him if he comes to New York. I mean, this is a man who presided over. This is a man who, the governor of New York. It's unbelievable too, because look at the precedent you're setting. Look at, like, are you referring to Anthony? Are you referring to this quote? Because this is a man who did the worst job as governor, the absolute worst when it came to the pandemic. New York has the highest unemployment rate and the greatest number of lives lost because of the pandemic, and property damage from protests, and people are leaving New York. And he said on March 1st, the risk remains low for the people of New York. There's no reason for undue anxiety. I mean, you cannot win. It's just, at the end of the day, 60% of Americans don't trust media exactly because of this nonsense. And when they're going to lose, they are heading towards a loss. They can try to cheat. They can go ahead and litigate because you know what? Republicans and Trump have lawyers too. It's like they seem to think that they're the only people with attorneys. And the Supreme Court it's a conservative Supreme Court. So good luck. Good luck with Kavanaugh being the deciding vote after how, wonderfully you treated him. Which you treated him in a manner you didn't treat Joe Biden, but that's another story. This makes no sense at all. And I'm going to read you this. And everybody here, it makes no sense at all. Anthony, are you referring to what he said about, in terms of division, I don't think that either President Obama or President Trump stoke or create division. I think that division always exists. I think the media, Anthony, picks a side. If a Trump supporter loses, if Trump supporters, plural, at least 3 or 4 I could think of, have been murdered, nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that. But if Trump supporters are have paintballs, or hurling paintballs at people, oh my God, paintballs hurt, and they spend more time on that. Mark H. HA in plain sight, their Dems are going to steal the election via mail-in ballots. Everybody knows that they're trying to do that. Everybody knows that at least that's part of the plan of a political party that cheated Bernie Sanders. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign for a reason. So, this is a political party that couldn't even find the winner of the the initial Iowa contest. They couldn't even find the winner. It took like 3 days. But I find this very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. And like the article against President Trump today, all this stuff. Madam Secretary wrote the following, and someday soon, I hope we will elect a woman president of the United States. That's a sentence that's painful to write. But here's something that gives me hope. 25 years ago, speaking in Beijing as the First Lady, I thought I had reached the peak of power and influence that would ever be available to me. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And I find it very difficult to believe that either Bill or Hillary Clinton would find any sentiment painful to experience or feel, a sentiment linked to political power or influence, that they don't say, okay, it's within my grasp. I don't understand how they say, well, the Democratic Party would collapse. They don't care. They're propping up Biden in a manner we've never seen every single day. Go to GOP War Room every single day. They're the only people, or one of the few people. Mark H. Anthony, thank you. They're the only people who are actually, you can see actual videos of statements Biden makes. And it's unbelievable. I mean, you're talking about a person who couldn't win a contest for mayor. As much as I don't trust the Clintons, I can say that at least Hillary Clinton is 1,000,000 times more eloquent than Biden. She has voters that are passionate. Biden has no passionate voters, and neither of them will ever stop when it comes to attaining what they want to achieve. I do not, that sentence is like, okay, so you've given up? No, I don't think so. Clinton will be on that debate stage. I don't care if the whole country votes by mail prior to September 29th, which is, I think, that most of the states will get their mail-in ballots. They'll reprint the ballots. They'll say, you know what? We had a meeting. We switched our nominee. Whatever. It doesn't have to be a calamity, God forbid. And then that's it. I don't trust the Democratic Party. I will have made the biggest political call of all time, or it's going to be a good call. Biden will get steamrolled by Trump in the debates. The only people who dislike Trump enough to look at Biden and say, yeah, he's viable, there aren't 65 million people like that. There aren't even 60 million people like that. President Trump was outspent 2-1. If the reverse were true, he would have won the popular vote. But also, you're not going to have a Republican win the popular vote with this media and with California and New York. It ain't going to happen. Clinton won the popular vote the day after the election. The day of the election, it was like, I forgot whether they were pretty much tied. Eric H526. Hello, HA. Hello, everyone. Hope all is well. Eric H526. Thank you. Thank you for always being awesome. Along with Luke St. Martin. Thank you. Eric H526. Thank you. Francis. Pelosi should run. She's too busy getting. That's not right. That's not right how I can't go to Supercuts. That is not right at all. Amazing Lucas has an amazing segment on Pelosi. And the hair salon, which says everything you need to know about. Says everything you need to know about. This is so funny. Not only does she eat $500 per gallon ice cream, but I have to grow my hair out like Willie Nelson. But she gets to go to the hair salon. This is unbelievable. But it's always that way. It's always that way. They are going to lose. They're going to lose. They are going to lose. And mainly also they'll lose. I mean, they would lose with Clinton too, but if they don't go with Clinton, which they will go with Clinton, I don't trust them at all. And Hillary Clinton is the only chance they have. She's the best candidate they have by far. She's far superior. She wasn't the best candidate in 2016. She turned out to be the only candidate they have who fights. One thing I respect about Hillary Clinton is she fights. I like, the criminality, all that. We'll leave that aside. Voting alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld, turning Libya into a failed state, using servers with top secret intelligence on the servers. But she fights. I respect that. I like that. I like people who fight. Because I fight. I like people who fight. I mean, nothing I do is amazing, but I'm like, if someone tries to say something about me, I'll respond. Anthony, when does the media? How are the Dems getting away with threatening? Anthony, the media is complicit. Anthony, thank you as always for supporting this channel and for your just support and always watching. The media is complicit. JD's, hello. The media is complicit. They are an active participant. That's a great question, and it's a question that I would ask as well. Anthony, how do they get away with it? But within the question that you and I would ask, the inference is that, aren't they objective? Aren't they supposed to be objective? They get away with it because they are partisans. They're an extension of the Democratic Party, and that's not hyperbole anymore. It might have been hyperbole 10 years ago or even 6 or 7 years ago. Once Clinton, the end of President Obama's administration, you saw something take place, and it was almost like a generational shift, or you saw something this was what took place, okay? The end of Bush's administration, let's just say 2007, 2008, you were 21 years old. By the end of President Obama's administration, you were basically, 30 years old. All throughout your 20s, you had what you considered the epitome of American politics at its best. And if you became a journalist, your job was to make President Obama's administration look a lot better than Republicans or the GOP or the Bush administration, which wasn't difficult to do. Your job was also to cover any story. That's why, no drama. Yeah, but nothing was reported. Your job was also to trust government. I remember you had journalists that were critical of President Obama, citing sources, and then you had the same establishment journalists saying today, well, we have anonymous sources. In President Obama's administration, why would you believe this? These sources are anonymous. How can you trust them? So, Anthony, they are complicit. Michael Lee, thank you. They're complicit. Yon Song Long. Oh, wow. Oh. Anthony, thank you. Lucy, thank you. Lucy Gwen, thank you. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Lucy, thank you. Thank you, Lucy. But Anthony, that's a great question. Think about it. If you had got into journalism, you were studying in a university in 2007, 2008, 2009. You're at a university, you're already going to be taught by very liberal professors, almost certainly. So at the end of the Bush administration, and Lucy, thank you very, very much. Oh my God. Again, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this mosquito. This mosquito is like, I swear to God. Lucy, thank you. Think about it this way. The average journalist writing at the Washington Post and New York Times got a journalism degree or a communications degree at a college or a university, very liberal professors, generally a liberal subject matter. You studied journalism at your university, you got your degree in 2007 or 2008. You spent either your early 20s or your late teenage years looking at the Bush administration saying, oh my God, we oppose these never-ending wars, and look what he's done to the economy, and we had a recession that it was almost a depression, and they were against, these people ran on a marriage amendment, they were backwards, they were judging everybody, nobody was good enough, they thought they knew what God was thinking. And you're just Republicans and Bush and Cheney and Rumsfeld, and my God, we need somebody. We've had 8 years of Republic. We need somebody to save this country from never-ending Republican control. You know, who could do this? Then you have President Obama, who came in saying that Bush's foreign policy was illegal, that he was going to reverse Bush's foreign policy. Instead, he did the opposite, but he came in saying that he was the progressive candidate. He defeated Hillary Clinton. And he was the first black president, which was amazing. Which is an amazing accomplishment, a remarkable, amazing accomplishment. It is. It showed that the country had, moved on from a history that we wanted to, evolve from. And so you first got your job at the Washington Post or the New York Times or a smaller publication to eventually get to the Washington Post or the New York Times or CNN or MSNBC. You got your first job in journalism. Valerie Rogers, did you know Portland? Andy? No, I didn't. No. But what happened there is just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you. Not sure if I understand the exact question. But Anthony, everybody here, Valerie, thank you, Valerie. You have your first foray into journalism as President Obama was elected. Then you spent all of your 20s writing stories about how wonderful President Obama was. How great the world was that now we had President Obama, and we've turned a page in a chapter in our history, and he was a Democrat, and he was presidential, and he was an intellectual, and he cared, and the media did not yell or was not belligerent or was not. Fox News was, but now the entire media is a liberal Fox News. Fox News was one channel, but you still had the Washington Post and New York Times. and CNN and MSNBC, and any scandal, whether it was the White House, the Secret Service scandal in Colombia, where they didn't pay, let's say, people who worked at night. Let's just leave it at that. Or whether it was you didn't know about the servers. Do you think they would allow President Trump, if Pompeo had servers that outside of the United States government, do you think they would allow President Trump to say, oh, gosh, I just didn't know that Pompeo had servers? Oh my God. They would never stop. They would never, ever stop. Do you think they would just, oh, you didn't know? Oh, okay. Oh, you didn't know? Okay. Oh, you just didn't know? Oh, no problem. But when President Obama didn't know that Clinton had servers, it was just not a problem at all. That's what happens. No problem. You spend your entire 20s or your mid-20s to your early 30s with President Obama as president. Then Trump becomes president. Everything you thought was right in the world and good in the world, your knowledge of politics, you spent 2015 and 2016 while NPR quoted, the nutty H.A. Goodman saying that Clinton would lose swing states, and she did, and the article is below, and my articles went viral in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, and the editors at The Huffington Post and Salon and The Hill, all the editors gave a stamp of approval for my writing. And my writing went viral with the knowledge that these editors wanted the writing to go viral, that the publications benefited, that my arguments made sense, or at least that my writing resonated and my arguments resonated with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. I had one article that had like 700,000 shares. No joking. That's serious. But then President Trump comes along, and he's like a circus and a sideshow to you. And there's no way that the American public in the United States, there's no way at all. There's just no way at all that after 8 years of the enlightened President Obama, who was the epitome of what a president should be, there's no way that that the country would elect somebody like Trump. And you spend the first part of 2015 and 2016 tearing down Bernie Sanders because he was far too left-leaning for you. Because, you were a journalism major and you worked and covered the politics, but you were focused on how bad the GOP was and how saintly President Obama was, and Bernie Sanders had some nice ideas, but really, there was a Washington Post article, free college tuition isn't about helping people, it's about control. So they went after Bernie Sanders with the same way. They said, oh, he honeymooned in Russia, all this stuff. Then President Trump runs for president, and it's like, oh my God, what a circus, what a sideshow. Well, oh my God, he's not going to win. But can you believe this is happening in our country? He can't win, right? There's no way he can win. Clinton is obviously going to win. She's definitely going to win. Trump won't even become GOP nominee, they said. That's within the NPR article that quotes me. 538 said that. Oh my goodness. He won't even become GOP nominee. Then, after spending a year and a half tearing him down, saying that he's the worst human being possible, telling all the good people of this country that you cannot vote for President Trump because that would make you a racist and you a horrible human being, and he's probably working with Russia. And actually, they didn't even talk that much about that. They said, well, Trump better respect the election results because they thought they were going to win. Whenever they think they're going to win, Trump better respect the election results. Then they lose. It's like, oh my God. And then, ladies and gentlemen, what happens? President Trump wins and their entire world comes crashing down. So, Anthony, to answer your question, these are people who, the paradigm in which they live, the paradigm they view as pristine and like the reality that they see is not reality. Because they've spent 8 years prior trying to recreate reality, trying to sweep everything under the rug. And what America had was a choice. That was also another issue that these journalists, that have caused these journalists to become scorned individuals. The United States had a choice. We could have a third Obama term. Okay. That was almost a referendum on President Obama. You could continue with 8 years of a president who's presidential, and he's not a Republican, so that's good. And he's charismatic, and he's an intellectual, and he follows what the intelligence community says. And when he fires a general like he did with Stanley McChrystal, immediately, the media said, well, he had to do that because, the civilians take control of the, the civilians have to, the president has to exert control, and he has to, it's the respect factor, and oh my God, and, it was a Rolling Stone article that did that. A Rolling Stone article said that the general and other people around him made disparaging remarks about President Obama. Nobody knows if he made those remarks. Nobody knows. It was simply, this is what journalists do. They did the same thing. They tried to do the same thing with me, and to a much lesser extent in a very unethical hit piece from the Daily Beast that riddled with misinformation or disinformation. Somebody said this about you. Somebody said. Oh, well, that's journalism. But God forbid if you did that to the same people writing hit pieces on you. Oh, my God. God forbid if you did that to Madam Secretary or Joe Biden. No, Trump claims without evidence that Biden said this. He never said that. There was no evidence. But then you had President Trump win, and it was, oh, my God, he had to have worked with Russia because our lives, the paradigm that we live within or that we worship, this paradigm of thought that says we are the ones on the side of justice. We're the ones who are intelligent. It's not the backwards Trump supporters. It's not the MAGA hat wearing backwards Trumpers, the deplorables. Now, this country can't be led by them. Let's spend 4 years tearing Trump down and everyone around him. Now you're going to lose again. Now they will lose again. And this entire, the media will change its tune. They have to, because if 60% of people don't trust media now, it's going to get to like 80%. At a certain point, they've put all their eggs in one basket. It's just, just show contempt for Trump. He's a horrible person. And when people don't care anymore, what are they going to do? Hello? Hal, hello. So it's really interesting to see sources with direct knowledge, sources familiar with the matter, sources with direct knowledge. It's like, who cares what sources with direct knowledge say about anything? They're not relevant to any discussion. They don't justify, they don't prove any statement. Francis, like in 2020. Francis, I love you. I love you, Francis, but I apologize. I got to do the lollipop just because sometimes certain words are phrased. But it was awesome. But Francis, I apologize. Just because what happens is the algorithm picks up on things and then they demonetize everything and it's bad. But Francis, that was awesome. Thank you. Sorry about that, Francis. I have to be extra safe. I apologize, Francis, but thank you very, very much for your support. I don't think for 1 second that they don't have Madam Secretary as the person debating President Trump. She's the only chance they have. Hillary Clinton is the only chance they have. Francis, thank you again. Clinton is the only chance they have. And it's like it's really interesting how they'll believe anything. They will believe anything. And there was one comment on my upload about how it was fact-checked by an Associated Press. So, confirmed independently. You can't confirm gossip. It's impossible to confirm gossip. So, if something is gossip and hearsay, and the gossip and hearsay is confirmed, so you have let me see this. You have one Associated Press, like a person told me on one of my uploads, comment, well, it was confirmed independently by a journalist at the Associated Press. So what? How can you confirm? How on earth can you confirm? How on earth can you confirm gossip and hearsay? Where's the statement? Where are the people who can stand by this? So you mean these people are afraid of what? They would be lionized by the media. So what are they afraid of? People with direct knowledge of the situation. Direct knowledge. Anonymous sources who under condition of anonymity. Then you have one Washington Post journalist who got a Pulitzer Prize for going after Trump's foundation, but nobody goes after obvious pay-to-play schemes that led to, or that, I should say, that were linked to 20% of U.S. uranium capacity. Literally 20% of U.S. at that point being allowed to be sold to a company that eventually became owned by Putin, or that was owned by Putin. You're into national security, and you don't care about obvious pay-to-play schemes. While a person was Secretary of State, where emails have already been shown that people within their inner circle say, oh, yeah, there's Bill Clinton Inc., and there's 500 conflicts of interest. And by the way, you have Uma Abedin also saying, yeah, we have to do this person a favor, give this person a favor. Then there's an AP article, an Associated Press article that is corroborating everything. But, you can't bring that up. Because it wasn't that big of a deal. Francis, thank you again, Francis. And these people, this is the thing. They're not. This is not a journalism in this day and age is not about truth. It has nothing to do with truth. It is about public relations, picking a side, and that's it. And it would be different if Trump was investigating Clinton based on a dossier he purchased, or if a Republican, Newt Gingrich, purchased a dossier that said that Madam Secretary enjoys wonderful activities within a Moscow hotel room. And President Trump's administration and his intel chiefs conducted a wide-ranging investigation. They don't look at it that way. They say, well, you know what? James Comey already investigated Clinton. It's like, no, what they do is they investigate. See, there's one side that's far more corrupt. Of course, there's corruption within the Republican Party. I don't see corruption within the Trump administration. They did not impeach him on any illegal activity. They had 4 years to do so. They found absolutely nothing. So I want to know where this corruption is. They say he's a corrupt criminal. What did he do? What law did he break? I'd like to know. Because if he broke a law, you better believe you would have media and you would have prosecutors, whether it was the Mueller probe or the Southern District, saying, okay, we have this evidence. Let's take it to court. Instead, you have ongoing investigations because the Clintons had their own investigations, so everything has to be morally relative. Well, we have Trump's investigation. See, it's just the same. The difference being that the investigations pertaining to Madam Secretary, there was a cover-up. James Comey said, oh gosh, let me be hands off on this and say that, there was no intent. There was no intent to hide communication, really, for 4 years using servers outside of the United States government. But everyone is so happy when Manafort and everyone else is indicted not on any crimes to do with working with another hostile foreign nation. It's only process crimes from people who eventually are now indicted because they tried to set up and frame Trump. Kevin Kleinsmith, you would think they had so much on Trump. Kevin Kleinsmith had to fabricate information, falsify documents, because they didn't have enough to deceive FISA judges, so they had to falsify information. That's why he got deliberately, knowingly. That's why he pled guilty. That's just the first person in the Durham probe. And I find it very difficult to believe they're going to go with Biden. During the debates, I find it very... So, getting back to... You have a story from The Atlantic based on completely anonymous sources. No evidence at all other than gossip and hearsay from anonymous sources. No document, no audio, no video, no email, nothing to attribute a quote to President Trump. And yet you have now the entire I'm With Her crowd on Twitter saying that Trump, and you don't get, and what you don't get, ladies and gentlemen, is any fact-checking or any icon or graphic from Twitter saying this is unverified. Oh, you don't get that at all. Oh, no. You get, well, The Atlantic is a good publication, and they have sources. You see, you can't disprove a source because it's a source. Could you imagine if a conservative publication had sources that said Clinton said the following? They would say immediately, the sources shouldn't be trusted. It's complete gossip and hearsay. There's no evidence. This paper claims without evidence. And they only cite anonymous sources or sources familiar with the matter. Sources familiar with the matter is completely meaningless. It is a meaningless statement. As a former senior administration official confirmed, you cannot have anonymous people confirm anything. You realize what they do? It's not really it's not really a this is not only is it not journalism, it's not logic. It's completely irrational and illogical. You can't simply and hearsay and a fabricated quote or a quote attributed to without any evidence of the words actually being spoken. You can't. Another anonymous person or another journalist can't confirm that these anonymous individuals are correct. That makes no sense. That's like saying, you know what? I confirm Brian's story because I can tell you that it's true. Well, how do you know? Well, you just have to trust me. I'm confirming it. But you don't even know exactly what he said. You don't even know who it is. You don't know who it is that said it. Well, I don't have to know because I know that he said it. I know that Trump said what he said. Well, is there any evidence at all? Documents, emails, videos, phone conversation, press conference, anything? Can you actually prove he said he disparaged fallen soldiers? Can you actually prove it? No, but we have a whole lot of really smart people who say that he said it. And the only thing, like the headline that people will read is Trump said this. And then in fine print, according to sources familiar with the matter, according to sources with direct knowledge, and they call this journalism. And then they're going to wonder, why did they lose? They're going to say, oh my God, we lost. We lost. Oh my God. Let's see. Hopefully the is it better now? Is the connection better? They make up and fabricate things. They don't tell you the whole story when it comes to certain. They don't tell you the whole story when it comes to certain stories, and they're going to wonder why they lost because they're on the. And President Trump is gaining support among minority voters, like I said for the past couple of years he would. Let's read a poll, ladies and gentlemen. We can read a poll right here from the Washington Examiner. So I don't know if I read this, but here, these sources and others quoted in this article spoke on condition of anonymity. So why should we trust anything that you say? According to sources with knowledge of the president's views. According to 3 sources with direct knowledge of his views. This is nothing. It's unbelievable. But according to sources with knowledge of this visit, sources with knowledge is gossip and hearsay. It is hard enough to remember what someone said yesterday, much less years back. And they're quoting Trump verbatim. They're trying to quote Trump verbatim. Exactly, Michael, exactly. But here, if you look, you can actually, there's an article right here. Go to Washington Examiner. You have a media working in overdrive. In absolute overdrive. House officials deny Trump disparaged fallen soldiers. Why would he have to deny quotes that have that are not based on any evidence. But this is how media works. And you can look at where's this poll? Let's see. He's actually doing better. I have a poll right here. So let's just find this right here. Of course. Oh, here. Cook Political Report editor, Trump's silver lining is rising minority support compared to 2016. Clinton has outpolled Biden in terms of support among Black and Latino voters. Clinton does better among Black and Latino voters. Trump is doing better now. Oh my God, this is so annoying. This is unbelievably annoying. Okay, so how is it possible, ladies and gentlemen, how is it possible that Christlight, good day from Australia. We're cheering America on Trump 2020. The best is yet to come. Exactly. The best is yet to come. Christlight, thank you. Thank you, Christlight, for always watching. Greatly appreciated. I hope all is well, and thank you for watching. My viewers in Australia are awesome. But how is it that you have President Trump doing better among Black and Latino voters this year? You have Biden doing worse than Clinton, and they expect to win. A silver lining for President Trump 2 months out from Election Day with increased support among minority voters. Compared to 4 years ago, according to a pollster, Dave Wasserman, House editor for the nonpartisan Cook Political Report, said on Thursday that Trump has been doing better, particularly among Black and Hispanic voters, as he emphasized the importance of keeping tabs on demographic trends when looking at a cluster of polls. Trump's doing better with non-whites than he was in 2016. He's winning on average 9% of the Black vote in these polls, compared to 5% in his pre-election polls in 2016. And President Trump, he had 5%, but then he had 8% of the African-American vote. And he had 14%, according to Pew Research. On March 9th, 2020, this is interesting right here. "24% of Black men approve of Trump." This is Vox, March 9th, 2020. And let's get the Pew, I think it was Pew Research. But you had Pilgrim Media, respectfully, how will you respond if you're wrong? I'll say I'm wrong. I'll say I'm wrong, and we'll party on this channel when President Trump wins. You know, being wrong about the Democratic Party's duplicity and likely bizarre behavior. If I'm wrong, they lose miserably. So there's really if I'm wrong about Clinton being eventually taking it, then Biden, who knows what happens during that debate? It's going to be the most horrible moment in the history of television, where Trump where Trump eats him up alive. Just completely eats him up alive. So Pilgrim Media, if I'm wrong, we win. It's not even a question. They're saying, well, it could be close. Biden's not going to make it close. And if it wasn't for media, I mean, if you have President Trump doing better among Black and Latino voters, Biden doing worse than Clinton outspent Trump 2-1, there's no chance that Biden wins the election. So they either have something up their sleeve, which I'm sure they do, which is the prediction still stands, or I take the loss and then enjoy the win and victory with it. I'll take a personal loss that I'm the biggest Hillary Clinton supporter on the planet. I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the planet, on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. But now I'm the biggest Hillary Clinton supporter on the internet. I'll take a personal L if they really think that Biden is the best candidate they have. And then on November 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I'm one of maybe 10, 15 channels, along with H.A. Goodman's other channel, that Trump supporters everywhere, hopefully, watch. Or people everywhere, former progressives, or, because, they will have spent 4 years blaming Russia, and then they're not going to they will have spent 4 years disparaging, demeaning, undermining President Trump and anyone who votes for him, and then they'll lose again. And then half of my prediction will be true. President Trump will have won. So there was one person who made a whole big thing oh, you didn't. I'm like, this is the first time in 105 years the Senate increased. They increased seats in the Senate. It's anyway. But thank you, David. Thank you. Right now, it's let's see. An examination of the 2016 electorate. Okay, so 14% of black men voted for President Trump in 2016, according to Pew Research. If that gets to 20% of black men, Democrats are done. They're done. Less than 2%. There's an asterisk here. So I don't even think even 1% of black women voted for President Trump, or 2%, because it says 98% of black women voted for Trump, 81% of black men, 81% of black men voted for Democrats, 98% of black women voted for Democrats. I think not even 2% of black women voted for 14% of black men voted for Trump. Vox has an article saying that his support was up to 24%. Then you had, now you have the Cook Political Report, but then you have, who else do you have? Another polling company. It wasn't, who was it? Where they said support has increased now. But 14% of black men voted for Trump in 2016. And he's increased his popularity among non-white voters, President Trump. And the Democrats, you're talking about the most bigoted individuals. They're oh yeah, the only people who care about property loss and property damage and chaos and mayhem are Trump supporters. You're inferring that only a certain group, a person of a certain background, cares about property damage. And you're also assuming and inferring that people of other backgrounds don't care. What does that tell you about your thoughts about your fellow Americans? I'm kind of speaking in a roundabout way, but and then you have swing states that have already tied, and President Trump is up, and you have this chaos that's taking place within these swing states. Pilgrim Media, I've watched you from day one. I think you're great. Pilgrim Media, thank you. Thank you for watching from day one, and greatly appreciated for your support and just for watching. Sorry about the internet connection, everybody. If you go and they say, well, the ballots are being printed. It's like, I'm like, well, then that would be really difficult for them, won't it? Maybe that's part of the interesting, wonderful, curveball that, oh gosh, we'll have to return, and now we'll have to give new ballots out. Oh man, that's horrible. Poll, Trump, this is the Hill. Trump approval rises among Black Hispanic voters amid convention. So a Hill-Harris poll found the same thing. So, and you also have to take into account, ladies and gentlemen, his approval is rising with non-stop, I'm talking non-stop negative media coverage, where Trump is supposed to have said that fallen soldiers, disparaged fallen soldiers. Which, of course, he didn't say that. It's complete nonsense. This is, by the way, from the same political side that finds the American flag offensive. Think about that for a second. Think about that. There are people who are wearing hats with the American flag, the stars and stripes, and they're like, oh, please take off that hat. You can't work here if you wear that hat or that shirt. I mean, it's the New York Post has an article. And it's Trump who allegedly stated these horrible, horrific things. And of course, he had to have said them because, I mean, that's just Trump, right? They're going to lose again. And you're going to see progressives saying, well, they lost because they didn't listen to Medicare. They didn't adopt Medicare for all, and this and that. And I'll have the "I told you so" moment on this channel. Whether it's if Clinton doesn't become nominee, they've lost. I'm going to roll into November 3rd, not even caring. Biden is not going to defeat Trump. And I don't say this because I don't view Biden as worthy. I say this because Biden cannot communicate. He literally cannot really communicate a thought. I'm not going to go into it. I can't play it because then it's a manipulated tape and da-da-da. But he cannot communicate an actual thought. And it's either really sad and frightening or it's an amazing charade. I have never seen a politician propped up by media in such a manner. This is not only a concerted effort, but it's right. I mean, he doesn't even really answer questions. There's no press. The press doesn't even question why he doesn't answer their questions. He just leaves, and they're ushered out like they're almost afraid for their lives. Like, yes, okay. And then you have people working from, okay, go, that's it. With Trump, it's like, are you going to apologize for all the lies you've told? Go look at the press, how the White House press corps treated President Obama and Bush or any other president. There is a modicum of respect that always, there's a certain level of respect that all presidents have enjoyed except Trump, where you have like CNN journalists who won't even give a microphone to a White House staffer. I mean, and then there's no talk about, oh my God, why did he do this to that woman? Da, da, da. A woman was trying to take a microphone away from the CNN reality show star, and he wouldn't give the microphone. And instead of outrage, I mean, they got on Bernie Sanders for pointing. You realize long before Russia hacked the DNC emails, they got on Bernie Sanders for pointing. He was pointing. Morpheus! Look up Who Owns the Atlantic. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Morpheus, thank you. I'll end up making the biggest political call of all time, ladies and gentlemen. But if they go with Biden, at least it was more interesting. I think that my viewpoint, my prediction, a lot more interesting than this is the most boring election of all time. And Democrats do not do well. They need turnout. You are not going to get voter turnout. And if polls are tightening, and if polls are tied in swing states now, what advantage does Biden have? Because Trump did very well with mail-in ballots. So what advantage? And then you want to go ahead and spend time like they did with Kanye West and look at the signatures? Go check out the signatures of, 10 million mail-in ballots or 10 or 12 million mail-in ballots. Find out who collects the mail-in ballots in states where miraculously Democrats are coming back. Because if you have a state where Trump is up 20,000 votes, if he's up 20,000 or 15,000 votes, I want Department of Justice or FBI officials, because that they love the FBI. I want government officials looking at exactly who was collecting the ballots, looking at every single ballot, seeing if the signature and the address and all that is legitimate. Pilgrim Media, he broke the club in 2016. They can't forgive. No, they can't. They can't. They cannot forgive. But they're going to lose to President Trump again. There's too much. You can only tell somebody, hey, don't marry that person. We don't like that. That person is, you can't marry that person. Why? Because of some lame reason. Don't listen to that music. No. Don't eat that food. Oh, don't dress that way. Don't get your hair cut that way. You can't do it. Only bad people do it. You're going to want to do it. You keep telling people not to vote for President Trump. They're going to vote for President Trump. And you look at the people who they were wrong. I mean, if Clinton's not nominee, a person could look at what I've been saying for the past 4 years and compare it to anyone else, especially like the $20 million venture capital people or MSNBC and CNN, and who was right and who was wrong. Did Trump work with Russia? Did Clinton win Texas? Did Trump withhold military assistance because he wanted to investigate Biden? Biden is the best candidate that anyone would. There's not a candidate there hasn't been a more atrocious candidate in American political history than Biden. And that's an understatement. There's a reason media does not play back anything he says on the daily. Like every single day, the man is saying something completely bizarre. And he's doing things that are just completely weird and bizarre, and nobody covers it except there's probably a lot of people at GOP War Room. Yesterday or 2 days ago, he said that the pandemic took 100 years off 100 years. Something weird. Something really weird. Just like really, really, really bizarre. What did he say? He said something to the effect like, oh yeah, 100 years. Hold on. It's on. Hold on, Biden. The pandemic has taken this year more than 100 years. Look, the lives, when you think about it. Pandemic has taken this year, just since the outbreak, has taken more than 100 years. Look, the lives, it's just, you think about it, more lives this year than any other year for the past 100 years. That makes no sense. It's not like they try to say, well, Trump speaks the same way. No, he doesn't. Trump has a personality. Trump communicates in a certain style. This is not a communication style. This is a person trying to think of something and then obviously having great difficulty communicating what he's thinking. This is very sad and frightening. This is very sad and frightening. This is not, it's just a way of communicating. And I don't feel like this is I do not feel like this is I cannot imagine, because Clinton is the only chance they have. With Clinton, it'll get close. They can get close enough to cheat. And she has people who are passionate about her. Biden doesn't. But there's a reason that one day after Madam Secretary writes an article in The Atlantic, that The Atlantic then publishes an article on gossip about President Trump. But there's a line here, power shortage ideas. Hillary Rodham Clinton, the other day, does that make any sense also? Like, why is she writing an article in The Atlantic? If at the end of the day she was on Howard Stern in a Hulu documentary, she's selling books, and every single day she's disparaging Trump, and she's doing this to help Biden, then they will lose miserably. And Clinton will get, will have lost a chance at becoming president. Does that sound feasible? It doesn't to me. Obviously, if they end up with Biden, I'll have to change my viewpoint of the Clintons. Maybe they don't have the ability to circumvent a person who doesn't know where he is. That's pretty weak and inept, because we already know they don't have a process. They cheated Bernie Sanders, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz was the chairwoman of the DNC was forced to resign. It's never happened before. But here, they're like, oh, it's just politics. No, it's not. But here, and someday soon, I hope we will elect a woman president of the United States. That's a sentence that's painful to write. Does it make any sense that Madam Secretary would write a sentence that's painful to write when replacing an obviously unrealistic candidate is attainable? It doesn't make any sense to me. Makes no sense to me. No sense at all. But my prediction still stands. I will continue. I don't care if the mail-in ballots have already been sent out. They'll find a way. Oh, I agree with you, Eric H526. I agree with you, but it had to be given a stamp of approval, even if it was ghostwritten. Still, it's someday I hope we will elect a woman president of the United States. Why not this year? What's the problem? It's the centennial of the 19th Amendment. You're going with Tales from the Crypt? That's a sentence that's painful to write. No, that's not the way the Clintons work. They don't accept defeat. They don't. Otherwise, Bill Clinton would have lost his first time around with a litany of women accusing him of horrendous things. It makes no sense at all. But do you feel like it's an election? I don't. That's why my prediction will continue. I don't care if the mail-in ballots are sent. I don't care. Because it makes no sense. None of this makes any sense. Then you have the most absurd luck. Thank goodness, most Americans have no clue that The Atlantic published an article without any evidence at all. So it's not going to make that big of a deal. It's not going to be that big of a deal at all. Clinton will be on that debate stage. You watch. Biden is going to meander off into Never Never Land and get eaten up by Trump. Cat, stay! I can't believe we even have to discuss Biden every day. You're a sound voice of reason. Thank you, Cat, stay. Thank you, Cat. Greatly appreciated, Cat. Thank you. Yeah, none of this makes any sense. He's losing in polls to Trump already. He has there's zero enthusiasm for Biden. Zero. They make up things, they constantly make up things that don't, they're constantly making things up. They're literally fabricating quotes from President Trump that he never said. There's no evidence of him saying it at all. And people now believe it. And I just look, let's say I'm with her, hashtag. Let's see what they're saying. It's not a stutter either. They're like, oh, it's a stutter. No, it's not. It's nothing to do with that. That's yet another insidious. I don't even want to get into it. They lie so much. And they hide behind this. Well, you can't prove it's lying. It's a source. Oh, you can't prove it's lying. President Obama said that he didn't know. It's like, oh my God. So I'm still with her, still running. Hashtag I'm still with her, still running strong. There's no way. I'm not, you have all of these things taking place. Cat Stay, thank you. Thank you so much. Cat Stay, thank you. You have all of these things taking place. You have a 40-year, let's say you have a 40-year history of Bill and Hillary Clinton as political creatures. If they were political creatures, they'd be like great white sharks, or they'd be like, I don't know, predators that, well, she used the word. They would be like the great white sharks of politics, or they'd be like the chameleons of politics. And Biden obviously is going to lose. Obviously, there's no chance that he has to win. And so they have a candidate in Hillary Clinton who is by far superior, who pretty much runs the Democratic Party. It's a political machine. And yet Biden, they're going with because he won a primary that wasn't even really a primary. He accepted a Zoom meeting nomination where people voted in the rain in a pandemic against Medicare for all, which is what happened in Wisconsin. And the day after, Bernie's like, oh, you know what? I'm out of here. I give up. And then Beto O'Rourke and Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren drops out a day after Super Tuesday, along with Michael Bloomberg, and 2 days before Super Tuesday, or a day before, Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar drop out. They didn't want, Klobuchar didn't want to get any delegates in Minnesota. How does that work? And Buttigieg didn't want to get delegates from California. How does that work? Biden is losing ground among minority voters. He's already tied in swing states. It's only going to get worse. And now you have just complete gossip and hearsay. I'm telling you, people, it is going to be the biggest political call of all time, or it's a good political call. But I'm the biggest Hillary Clinton supporter in the entire internet. I think it's fantastic. And then they're going after Melania's private email. It wasn't about that. It was about top secret intelligence on servers outside of the United States government. And they say you lost by 3 million to Trump. Who cares? The Electoral College. You can't win. Let's see here. You look at what he said just the other day. It makes no sense at all. It makes no sense at all. Most of the lives lost are in New York, New Jersey. You can add 8 other states, about 7 to 8 other states with Democratic governors or states that vote blue. Or just Massachusetts has a Republican governor, but it always votes blue. And Elizabeth Warren presides over the highest unemployment. Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey have the highest unemployment rates. Illinois, Pennsylvania have the highest unemployment rates. They have the greatest number of lives lost in the pandemic. 40,000 people, almost 40,000 have lost their lives in New York and New Jersey alone. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back tomorrow at 9 p.m. It's just, you know what? There's a lot to talk about, but then it's like there's no electricity. It's just we're in this like bizarre holding pattern. The election will truly start when Clinton eventually, I don't know how and I don't care how, eventually is on that debate stage and across that ballot. And if they have to reprint ballots, I don't care what they have to do. Like, well, you know what? The ballots have already, so what? Democrats will just say reprint everything. Oh, you're nuts. Oh, I'm sorry. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign in disgrace. So the notion that they don't have something up their sleeve, the notion that they would be serious about Biden because Trump never said the things that they're trying to shove into his mouth. Trump is the only despot, the only politician in the history of mankind where media writes that he said something that he never said. And they get everyone to believe it. And people just believe it like mindless zombies, like lemmings. Oh, yeah, really said that? Oh, no. He said both sides? Oh, no. He said he disparaged in the cemetery? Oh, yeah, okay. They just believe it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, thank you. Thank you. Eric H526. Gina, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you tomorrow, same time, 9 p.m. Be here. Thanks, everybody. God bless. To my super chat, thank you very much.